Good evening, everybody. This is theWhispergames, and as you can see, today I'm going to play Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney. I have played this game, I think, like 1.5 time. I finished it once, I think, and played it. At least I played the beginning. The first episode I never played twice. So I ought to have pretty good knowledge about how to do the first case at least. I do really enjoy these games. We're gonna play it from the beginning, of course. If you don't know what Ace Attorney is, I can tell you it's games for DS. That is about being a lawyer, basically, and a defense attorney, and you get different cases, and you're gonna try to defend your client. You'll see for yourself if you don't know what it is. So let's start the first case. Episode 1, the first turnabout. Here's a little intro. Let's just watch it, shall we? So that was the intro for the first case. I'm gonna try not to blow so much into the microphone today, so I'm gonna try to speak a little louder instead and be further away from the microphone. I hope it will sound good. I've been thinking a bit about making videos with this game because the music and the sound effects are not exactly relaxing. But I'm gonna try, and yeah, you can see what you think about it. So maybe consider this sort of a test video to see if it will work as a soft-spoken game, if you know what I mean. So let's start. It's August the 3rd. 9:47 a.m. District Court, Defendant Lobby number 2. I think we're gonna turn the volume down a bit. I don't think I will read what they say. You can read yourselves, right? Anyway, I think this is Phoenix's first case. We'll see in a minute. This is Mia Fey, which is Phoenix, who is Phoenix's boss. She made it here on time, luckily. Alright, so the first trial we're gonna do is a murder trial. And yeah, this first case is a pretty simple one, of course, since it is the first trial of this in the game series, so it's not a really hard one. Yeah. So are we gonna see our defendant soon, perhaps? Yeah, we know the defendant, or Phoenix does. Yeah, we'll get back to this later on. But the guy we're soon gonna meet is one of the reasons that Phoenix became an attorney to begin with. I think you're supposed to say attorney, pronounce it attorney. I always said attorney before, attorney, but then I watched Batman and I realized they say attorney in that movie. The first one, I think it is. You know, Rachel is an attorney, isn't she? Anyway, and so I say attorney because they say attorney in Batman, I think. So, yeah, anyways, let's get on with the trial. Of course, we want to help the defendant. And here he comes, I believe. Yes, that's our client screaming over there. Death, despair. No, it's okay. This character, right here, Larry is his name, is quite a character, as you will see, and he keeps coming back in the game series too, so you better get used to him. Yeah. It's not so very nice to see your defendant say things like that. You're supposed to prove him innocent, you know. That's what this is all about. That we're gonna try to prove him innocent in court. Oh no, Larry, it's okay. It's okay. Yeah, he always has this girlfriend issues. So the girl who died in the intro was apparently Larry's girlfriend. Yeah, oh, here comes a little introduction. His first case is a fairly simple one. A young woman was killed in her apartment, and the guy they arrested was the unlucky sap dating her. Larry Butts. Of course. When something smells, it's usually the butts. Yeah, he doesn't certainly have a knack for getting himself in trouble, as you will see as we go along. And no, it's usually not his fault. And I'm gonna prove now that this is not his fault either. Yeah, we're gonna clear his name, and yeah, that's what we're gonna do now. In court. And that's where we go now. Courtroom number 2. Yeah, this is the courtroom, and here is the judge. The court is now in session for the trial of Mr. Larry Butts. And here is the... I'm not sure how to say this either. I say prosecution. Maybe that's wrong. Anyway, this is Mr. Payne. And he's not such a pain, actually. He's the one you... when he's around, you know, the case is pretty simple. He's like the prosecutor you want to meet, you know, because he's like the easy one. Yes, this is our first trial. That's correct. Yeah, you should be nervous. I would be nervous too. Yeah, of course. Another reason to be nervous. Murder is really a serious charge, I would say. Yeah. control your nerves. Oh, a test. That's nice. Eyesight fading. Are you gonna ask me some questions? Okay, please state the name of the defendant in this case. Oh, you can't see all the options, but it's Phoenix Wright, Larry Butts, or Mia Fey, it says. And of course, the defendant is Larry Butts. Correct. And what is the victim's name? He has forgotten the victim's name, apparently. That's no good. Well, we don't know the victim's name, actually. We should just check in the court record, which we're gonna do in a minute, I believe. Yes, exactly. The defendant's name is listed in the court record. Just touch the court record button to check it at any time, okay? Alright. Alright, we're gonna do it now. Well, I know her name, but let's check just for checking's sake. Cindy is a name, as you can see here. We can also check in profiles. Here is Mia Fey, Larry Butts, and Cindy Stone, which is the victim in this case. So the options are Mia Fey, Cinder Block, or Cindy Stone. You can't see the last option. We can actually do a bit like this. I hope you won't miss anything important up here. Cindy Stone is the right one. I'm just gonna do it like this. The victim's name is Cindy Stone. What was the cause of death? She died because she was... Let's check the court record again. The autopsy report says cause of death, loss of blood due to blunt trauma, meaning basically that she was hit with a blunt object. Correct. That was all the questions. Seems good. And we seem much more relaxed. That's nice. That is what we want, right? Yeah, of course we feel relaxed. We are very relaxed. A question for the prosecution. The victim was struck with a blunt object. What was that object? Actually, the murder weapon was this statue of the thinker. This one here. It was found lying on the floor next to the victim. Okay, so now the statue is in the evidence, in the court record. Be sure to pay attention to any evidence added during the trial. It is the only ammunition you have in court. That is right. Yeah, we know that. Thank you. Alright, the prosecution may call its first witness. And Mr. Butts, the defendant, is called to the stand. And all we have to do is pay attention, Mia says. We don't want to miss any information that might help our client's just hope he doesn't say anything unfortunate. And with Larry, yeah, this could be bad. Has it been dumped? Yeah, they did. They did all die. Larry and his girlfriend's just sagging. Oh, Larry doesn't seem very good. Oh, this is the victim's passport. According to this, she was in Paris until the day before she died. I think this game is supposed to take place in the United States, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure it is supposed to be in the US. The victim appears to have returned the day before the murder from Paris. She was a model, but did not have a large income. Yeah, it appears that she had several sugar daddies. She took the money and used it to support her lifestyle. Dude! And I'm sitting here and reading it all anyways. That's not so nice of you, Mr. Payne. No, we don't want him to answer that. So, should we wait and see what happens, or stop him from answering? We stop him from answering, I believe. He doesn't have to answer that. It's that's a word. Irrelevant. Of course it's irrelevant. Or maybe not, but yeah, that sounds like a good plan, Larry. Yeah, let's continue with the trial. That sounds like a good idea. Yeah, the accused motive is pretty clear, yes. Unfortunately. Yeah, this is not looking very good at the moment, but just wait and see. We can turn this around, I'm pretty sure. So Larry went to the victim's apartment on the day of the murder. Payne says. Did you or did you not, Larry? Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. That's a good answer. Answer honestly, Larry. That's a signal. Very nice signal. Oh, he got it. He got it. That's nice. Okay, so he went there. Okay, but he didn't see her. Mr. Payne believes that Larry is lying. And he has a witness to prove that he is lying. So, yeah, this definitely simplifies matters. Who is this witness? It's the man who found the victim's body. I see. And he also saw Larry fleeing from the scene of the crime, apparently. So, who's this witness then? We shall soon see. Yeah, this is not so very good. The witness was selling newspapers at the victim's building. Mr. Frank saw it. They have sometimes the names of the people are a bit, they're joking around with names in this game. I mean, Phoenix Wright. It's just, yeah, a word joke. And Mr. Saw It. He sells newspaper subscriptions. And here comes his testimony. He's going to tell the court what he saw on the day of the murder. He was, going door to door, selling subscriptions. And then he saw a man fleeing from the apartment. He was apparently in a hurry because he left the door half open behind him. So Mr. Sawit looked inside the apartment and he saw her lying there on the floor, dead. Okay, so he was too scared to go inside, but he thought to call the police immediately. But the phone in her apartment wasn't working, so he went to a nearby park and found a public phone. It was 1 p.m. and he says that the man who ran was without a doubt the defendant sitting right over there, which is Larry, in other words. So that doesn't look too good. Of course you can, Phoenix. Yeah, why wasn't the phone working? We shall soon find that out, I believe. Yeah, because there was a blackout in the building at the time of the murder. So, there were no power. This was a cordless phone and it doesn't function normally, they say. And this phone is apparently a cordless phone, as you can see. Here's a record of the blackout that's been added to the court record. Alright, so now it's time for what? Oh, the cross-examination. The cross-examination. Let's get started. But first, we're gonna have a little explanation of what a cross-examination is. The real deal. And what exactly are we supposed to do now, Mia? We are supposed to expose the lies in the testimony the witnesses gave. If he was lying, and if our defendant is innocent, then this witness must have lied in his testimony. Or else Larry is guilty. And we're going to prove his innocence by presenting evidence to find the contradictions in the testimony. So that is what we are going to do now. So once we have found the contradicting evidence, present it and rub it in the witness' face. So that's what we're gonna do. Here we go, cross-examination. cross-examination, witness account. Okay, so this is basically his testimony again, and this time we can also look in the court record. If I remember this correctly, I think it's something about time. It's a long testimony. Usually the testimonies are not this long, or they can be, but this is a pretty long one. So let's check. Yeah, this is strange. I already found a contradiction. He says it was 1 p.m, but it says in the court record in the autopsy report that Cindy died between 4 p.m. and 5 p.m. This is a contradiction, so let's present. Objection. He says he's sure it was 1 p.m. when he found the body, but that's really strange, since she didn't die until 4 p.m. It contradicts the autopsy report. That's true. There was no body to be found at 1 p.m. So how can the witness explain this 3-hour gap? He doesn't seem too confident anymore. Yeah, that was Mr. Payne's voice. How is this trivial? It's not. Why were you so certain that you found the body at 1 p.m, Mr. Soit? He doesn't really seem very certain at all. Yeah, great job, thank you very much. Yeah, all we have to do is point out the contradictions, though sometimes it can be quite hard to find the contradictions. This one was pretty simple though. Not all of them will be. Oh, he remembers now, he says. So here comes another testimony. The time of discovery. When he found the body, he heard the time, he says. There was a voice saying the time, and it was probably coming from the television. But it was 3 hours off, wasn't it? I guess the victim must have been watching a video of a taped program. That's why I thought it was 1 p.m, he says. And it's a misunderstanding. Right, I can find a problem in this testimony as well, that I will soon point out to you. Of course I know what to do. Yes, I've got this one. Cross-examination. Time of discovery. Alright, so he says the voice was coming from the television, but at the time of the murder there was a blackout. So how can he have heard a voice from the television? Objection. Right. The court record can prove there was a blackout during the time of the murder. So he couldn't have heard a television or a video. That is very right. It is a good point, I have to say myself. So do you have an explanation for this, Mr. Soit? It is quite puzzling. But now he says he remembers again. Right, so we will prefer to hear an accurate testimony from the very beginning. Yes, he seems rather nervous, doesn't he? Quite nervous. Okay, so he says it was the shock of finding the body. So let's hear another testimony. Hearing the time. Actually, he didn't hear the time. He saw it, he says. There was a table clock in the apartment, wasn't there? Yeah, the murder weapon. The killer used it to hit the victim. That must have been what I saw, said Mr. Soit. But wait a minute. This doesn't really add up, does it? Time for another cross-examination. Right, I know what's the problem in this one as well. Let's go to this part of the testimony and have a look at the murder weapon, which is clearly a statue. Objection. Yeah, wait a moment. The murder weapon was not a clock, it was the statue. Answer the question. Yes, what is it, Mr. Payne? Oh, so this statue is indeed a clock. Really? So, this statue is a clock that if you tilt the neck, it says the time out loud. It doesn't look like a clock, so Mr. Payne submitted it as a statue. So it was a clock after all. That's right. Of course I knew that, just playing a bit dumb. This clock will actually play a pretty big part in the beginning of this game, as you will see later on. So this is a clock, another statue. Do we have a problem with this testimony? No or yes? Well, I do have a problem with this testimony actually. And that problem is, how did Mr. Soit know that this statue is in fact a clock? Yeah, exactly. He had to have held it in his hand to know that it was a clock, right? Even though he testified he never entered the apartment, and that is clearly a contradiction. The witness knew it was a clock because he went into the apartment, or he knew the victim. I think he went into the apartment. So he was probably lying about this. Mr. Soit wants us to prove that he went into the apartment that day. And Phoenix says he can prove that Mr. Soit was the one who actually killed the victim. And that's why he knows that the statue is a clock, because he used it to kill the victim. It's very intriguing indeed, I have to say. The sound must have left quite an impression, indeed. Understandable, since the murder weapon spoke just as you hit the victim. That voice was burning to your mind. That's why you were so certain about the time. Objection, says Mr. Payne. It's all baseless conjecture. But the victim doesn't look very sure of himself. Did the witness strike the victim with a clock? I keep saying victim instead of witness. Okay, I think we actually broke him now. Give him death. Okay, so now we have to prove that, yeah, what do we have to prove? That the sound came from the clock. Alright. How can we prove that the sound came from the clock? That is simply, we can prove this by simply examining the clock's batteries. Ask the neighbors or try sounding the clock. Well, I would try sounding the clock. That sounds like a good idea. So we ask the court to listen very carefully. That is certainly a strange way to announce the time, but it is the thinker after all. So, what time is it now? It's 11:25. And what did the clock say again? The clock is exactly 3 hours slow. And that is exactly the discrepancy, maybe I said it wrong, between what Mrs. Zoid heard and the actual time of death. So Mr. Zoid is probably the killer. He says we forgot one thing. What could that be? But how do we know it was running 3 hours slow on the day of the murder? If we can prove that, we have a case solved. Even if we can't prove it, we don't have a case at all, he says. But how are we going to prove that? Well, but do we really lack evidence? Think about this, Phoenix. And this ends the cross-examination of Mr. Frank Zoid. He says, but you are a criminal. He says the lawyers are also lying. No. We can still prove it. Thank you, Mia, for saving me. I'm listening. Don't throw this one away. Are you really sure of that? We can still win, she says. Try to think out of the box. Assume the clock was 3 hours slow and think through it. Ask yourself, why was the clock 3 hours slow? If we can figure out a reason, that's our proof. Yeah, I can actually think of a reason. And we can actually prove it. So we have to find evidence that proves why the clock was 3 hours slow on the day of the murder. And we have evidence to prove it. And the evidence is this. You remember the victim came home from Paris the day before the murder. The victim had just returned from home from abroad the day before the murder. As we all know, the time difference between here and Paris is 9 hours. We all know that, right? When it's 4 p.m. here, it's 1 a.m. the next day in Paris. The clock wasn't 3 hours slow, it was 9 hours fast. Because the victim hadn't reset her clock since returning home. And that's why the time you heard when you struck her dead in the apartment was wrong, Mr. Soit. Mr. Did It. There he goes. We broke him. We proved he was the killer. In a way. This case has certainly turned out differently than we all expected. How is your client doing, Mr. Payne? He was arrested and has been taken away. That's nice. Very nice. And the judge is impressed of us. That's very nice. Also, we have completed this one pretty quickly, but that's just because I know I know this one. It's much easier when I know what to do. I didn't clear this one so fast the first time, I have to say. The court finds the defendant, Mr. Larry Butts, not guilty. Yay! You're innocent, Larry. It turns out that Frank Soit was a common burglar. He posed as a newspaper salesman to check and see when people went out of the house. That day, when Larry went to her apartment, the victim wasn't home. After he left, Mr. Soit let himself in to do his dirty work. While he was searching a place, the victim returned home. Flustered, Mr. Soit grabbed the nearest blunt object he could find and killed her. Okay, so now it's August the 3rd, 2:32 p.m. District Court, Defendant Lobby number 2. After the trial. We won! Good job in there. we did a good job actually. Yeah, and it was a lot Mia's. Thanks to Mia, I'd say. It's been a while since she saw a trial end on such a satisfying note. That sounds nice. She looks really happy actually. That's nice too. That's great. Larry is not that very happy. He's supposed to be happy. What's wrong now? Well, the problem is that his girlfriend is still dead. So, I mean... bad. You're innocent, Larry. Yeah, she's dead. But, maybe you're better off without her. Alright. Harry. It's Larry, actually. Okay, he already found himself another girl, I guess. Okay, we know that one from before, right? We know this fella. A present for Mia. So Larry actually made the clock. He made one for her and one for himself. One for the victim and one for himself. It's a pretty good job actually to make this, I have to say. Good job, Larry. So Mia gets this clock. Remember that. Oh, Larry. Excuse me. Mia thinks that she thought quite a lot of Larry. And maybe we do have proof for that? Something that proves how Cindy felt about Larry. Well, the fact that she actually apparently took the statue, the clock, with her to Paris should be the evidence Mia is talking about. Proof positive you weren't just a chump to her, Larry. She took it with her when she traveled to Paris. And this clock is a pretty heavy clock to take traveling. Make of it what you will, Larry. And Larry says he's glad he asked Nick to be his lawyer. That's nice. Yeah, hopefully that made him feel better. Yeah, we can definitely see the importance of evidence. And hopefully we have realized that things can change depending on how you look at the evidence. Of course, we understand that. We'll never really know if our clients are guilty or innocent, but we must believe in them either way. And in order to believe in them, we have to believe in ourselves. Listen down and grow strong. go of what you believe in. That's what's it called? Inspirational words. Let's go have some dinner. That sounds nice. Yeah, let's do that. It's Larry, Mia. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, part at least. The other part is somebody else that you will meet pretty soon. So, the first trial came to a close, and there's the end of case 1, in other words. Larry is apparently not going to pay for it. Because they're friends, I guess. That clock was soon going to be at the center of another incident, and a promise to tell the chief more about Phoenix and Larry will be one promise that he couldn't be able to keep. Exciting, right? The end of episode 1. And with that, this is also going to be the end of this video. I hope you have liked this. It became a pretty long one, a little over 50 minutes. I hope you're still with me, and I hope the sounds have been better in this one, that you haven't heard my breath so much. Yeah, so I'll be back with more games and stop speaking in whispers pretty soon, I think, with more Ace Attorney and other games. So thank you so much for watching. Take care of yourselves and sleep well. Good night.